Hello there. This is Benjamin Morse, comic book artist. Wanted to do a quick video today that's a follow-up of one from a few months ago. The older video was about AI and specifically how it affected concept art and really specifically how it would affect potential comic book work. So in the last few months, a lot has been done that I've seen. It's made some pretty impressive strides. I don't know if that's the AI learning or users getting better at working with it, but one way or another, for good or ill, they've done some pretty impressive stuff in terms of panel to panel consistency and also storytelling consistency and keeping your characters on model, things like that. So as an artist, a little bit scary. There's also some interesting stuff. I haven't been able to mess around with it myself. I haven't been on the journey since I did my trial a few months ago, but thought it'd be interesting to look back on this a little bit and reflect on what's changed and also go through some comments that would be interesting to talk about. So before I get into that, I wanted to just share a few updates. We Are Scarlet Twilight #3 is going out to backers this week. I think it's showing up in some mailboxes now. So if you've been waiting for your copy, you should have it today or tomorrow, I would say. And I'm excited to see that going out into the world and people getting to check it out. The print version, the digital, has been out for a few months. I'm about on page 11 of We Are Scarlet Twilight #4. That campaign is going to be starting mid-February. So I'm waiting to hear back on two things, and then I can set up our campaign, share the link, and make some announcements there. I'm really pumped to get going there. So hopefully you like what you see there. If so, please subscribe, and you can be up to date on all the news for that, which should not be too much longer. So a few of the comments on the AI video from a few months ago. Ewiton Moria says, I've been playing with it nonstop for the last 10 days. Got some good results for a panel to panel, but none of them without the need for some correction. I'm a writer and it helped me communicate better with the artist. Unfortunately, I can't fix it myself, and the artist I mostly work with likes it much more for reference than as a final illustration, but it is promising. And that's, I think, what I kind of concluded in this video is that it was a good tool for artists and writers to communicate a little better, and I would say make each other's jobs a little bit easier. I'm not sure if that's completely where I would be my takeaway from this technology now, having seen a lot more. So I've seen some examples of AI comic art from Midjourney that's really good. I think the limitations it's still going to have is that ultimately writers are going to need to, if they want to use that exclusively, probably be forced to really kind of tailor their content towards what the images they get back are, rather than doing sort of, and this is an example from Scarlet Twilight 4, some really not complicated, but there's a lot of things that need to be consistent and change in certain ways to tell a story. I think bits like that will be very hard to do in AI for a while now. Mark Demuse says, thank you for sharing this insightful video on your use of AI generators in conjunction with writing your own comic books. I agree these AI generators can be a big plus if you're already into comic creation for inspiration or even refining characters or backgrounds. And again, that's kind of what my takeaway was a few months ago. I would see that as something, if I were going to use it, I would use it for example, these pages from August Terminus Angels, which is hopefully going to be going into production this year when I have time to sit down and draw it. I could see using it for something where I have a repeatable, a simple element that needs to have a lot of it used. So a lot of this rubble, a lot of these asteroids, things like that, I could see using AI for something like that if it worked out and wasn't too hard to do. I think there are a lot of other ways to do that now as well, and all of them, including AI, at least at this point. And if you have a sort of standard you want it to meet in terms of logistics, just where you need it a page, and also quality, I think all those other methods take as long as just drawing the darn thing on your own. So again, I don't think it's quite there yet when you really get down to a specific story you need to tell. But one thing that scares me, and this is kind of a prediction type of thing, is I'm sure big publishers and a lot of writers would like to not have to work with an artist, be that for cost or just, to be able to keep the ball in their hands all the time. So I do worry that this stuff will, bring down the cost or, the opportunities artists have. And then, of course, page rates, things like that. I do not care for that. Hope it doesn't happen. But I think that you'll see companies try and use this. Hopefully the marketplace rejects it. I'm not confident that'll happen. But yeah, it is what it is. I think these things are, when they get to us, in our particular fields, For instance, I know a CG supervisor who said, "Oh, I use this a lot. I was trying to explain to my concept artist, and I wasn't getting it across, and I just ended up doing some AI stuff to figure out what I wanted in my own." I think those sorts of things are going to happen a lot, and I think also the point of my other video was that anything that helped artists and writers communicate a little better is good. I think, on the other hand, this probably for a lot of people will either, whether it's successful for them or not in the long term, I think lead people to sort of short circuit that and say, well, I don't want to have to explain myself to this person when I can do it myself. I don't want to have to take the time to form my ideas. So it could kind of lead to some bad stuff as well. My favorite result from Midjourney was Russell Crowe writing a crow painterly. Not perfect, but would love to do a paint up of it. Now I replied saying I'd love to see it, but nobody's seen it. I know. It sounds interesting to me. There were a few other interesting ones. Illogical writes, how to get at least character consistency without using famous people prompts. I think that I've not looked into it. I haven't done Midjourney stuff since I did this video, but I think that there are some tools now that let you carry a character from one piece to another that I've seen. And this is another prediction. I think that if this does become something that's widely used, my quote unquote prediction is, I think this, if there were to be something that practically could ever replace comic book artists and have us all working at McDonald's or something, I think it would be something like a Blender plugin, given that Blender is free and there's a robust group of people writing plugins for it and add-ons right now. I think that would be something where you take the camera, you define your prompts as far as angles, types of, I would say, levels of impact, which is to say levels of maybe camera distortion, foreshortening. I would say if you had something where you were going to type in bird's eye view or isometric view, pulled back view, you'd probably have something where you set camera parameters for that define the distortion, define the angles, and let it work within that, see what it gives you back. That's my worry. I think the technology is there to do that. If that did happen, I think the problems, well, there'd be problems obviously for artists. I think that the things we'd see in work would be a huge amount of consistency in sort of out of the box feeling in a lot of camera angles, a lot of panel setups, a lot of page layouts. I think we would see a little more diversity in character faces, which is not to say characteristics of a person you're portraying as a character, but just in long face, wide face, shape of their nose, things like that. It's something I'm always concentrating in my work to do. I'm not that great at it, but it's something I'm always trying to be more aware of. I think that if you did have something that kept a character consistent from one to the next, you probably would see a lot more variation in that still manages to tell the story. I think everything else about the comic would then end up being a lot more uniform. So that's about all I think I had to say about it. Until next time, it's an interesting subject. It scares me. It's a little bit interesting. I think there's probably a lot of benefits to be had, and there's going to be a lot of disruption to people like myself. So hopefully it'll be more of the good and less of the bad. I'm going to leave you with some more pages from Scarlet Twilight 4 and some of the covers. If you like what you see, like I said, please subscribe. Please check back. We should have an announcement in the next week or two about where you can find the next issue and catch up on previous issues. So again, thanks for checking out the channel.